Well, I thought we had a great weekend because we didn't play and got to spend time with friends and family and loved ones. And so it was great to have a weekend off as we get ready to travel to Madison this week. Obviously, it'll be a tough opponent, as we know. But I think our team is in a great spot, having had a good couple exhibition games and then a good week of practice and some great rest and some time away. Sometimes that's maybe the most important part of remembering what's important as a coach. So I'm excited this week to get going and prepare for a WCHA opponent, and looking forward to see what our team does this weekend.
Yeah, Joe, what do you take out of the Manitoba game? You faced some live ammo, but they were playing their third game in 3 nights, I think. But what did you learn about your team, I guess?
Yeah, it was a good test, and I had watched the previous two games that they had played, and I thought, they were big, they skated okay. There was an even match skating. I thought they actually had some size that we don't always see even in our league sometimes. But what I really liked about our team, what I learned from our team is that even in the midst of rotating, I think 6 players in each period, we found a way to figure it out at the end, and that was important for us. There's no doubt in my mind. Not being able to kind of finish that game well would have been a mental hurdle. And so when I look at that game, I was really excited to see how our group that was in the lineup in the third period performed, because I think it was an important part of our process going forward.
The Badgers found themselves in a weird position end of the season last year, not in the Frozen Four. I mean, is that what do you expect from them? Is it maybe a rebuilding period for them, or do they just reload?
I think that, as someone who's coached in this league for a long time, I've been a part of coaching staffs that have gone through those years where you expect to be in the Frozen Four of the national tournament and you're not. I think the greater, lens to look through is the consistency that they've had for the last 15 years, 10 years at least. And I look at the quality of coaches that they have, the quality of players, many of whom I've had the privilege to coach. And early season games are tough. I mean, I think they had maybe 2 or 3 practices before they had to go on the road to Penn State this year. You look at last year, and perennial powers aren't in the Frozen Four, like you mentioned. It shows you 2 things. One, how tough it is to win in our league, because the teams that didn't make it from our league last year, I think Wisconsin was 2 and Minnesota was 1. It just goes to show you the depth of our league. And then I look at the early season results of some of the games across the country, and I just am so impressed with the depth of women's hockey and how tough it is to win every night, especially when you're coming off of a short preparation week. So I look forward to this weekend, knowing we've got time to prepare. I look at the depth and the roster that they have, and I realize we're at a disadvantage from a mathematical or if somebody had to pick it, but we're going to go out and compete. And I have nothing but respect for Mark and his staff and their team. Like I said, having had the privilege to coach so many of those players, they're certainly skilled, and it'll be an exciting time for us to spend in Madison.
At this point in the season, there's obviously film on Wisconsin from last year, but they're a different team than last year. Obviously, you're a different team as well. Do you scout your opponent a lot, or is it more internally focused at this point? And here's what we have to do. Here's what we need to learn. All that.
I think most of it's what we need to do, and I say that because if we spend too much time looking at what's on tape from Wisconsin, it's not necessarily going to help us. So we have to focus on what we're going to do to try to defend well, to try to compete, to try to be organized in our systems, in our procedures. And I think that's what probably, frankly, what Wisconsin's going to do as well. I don't think they're going to spend a lot of time looking at our film versus St. Cloud exhibition or Manitoba. They're just going to say, here's who we are and here's our strength. So I look at their roster, I look at their tape, and I know it'll be a tough challenge for us, but we're excited to travel. And last year we weren't able to go to Madison, so this will be our players' first time in that barn, and that'll be fun experience for them to travel to Madison. It's a great hockey town, and certainly a lot of tradition there. So that'll be an exciting part of our journey.
One more, is that fair?
One more, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Levant is one of those places like Ritter where it's a kind of a women's hockey specific facility. Does that make a difference atmosphere wise when you're in, you know, a facility that you know was kind of built with women's hockey in mind? Not, you know, take nothing away from Amsoil or you know, some of the other rinks in this league, but how does that make a difference in kind of the atmosphere of the game?
I think it's a big difference because I think our players recognize the programs that have started to lay the foundation for women's hockey and set up. It doesn't mean a shared facilities, you know, an issue, but it does highlight, you know, the programs that are saying, hey, women's hockey is important. And so I think when you go there, more importantly than just the building is the fan experience, the support that, you know, that Wisconsin gets for all of their games. And it's something that our players can look forward to building a program and a tradition here at St. Thomas, where we're all of a sudden going to hopefully try to generate a similar experience for our student athletes in the future.
Ryan on the Zoom, did you have any questions?
Hey Joel, you played 3 of your goalies in the exhibition game. Have you kind of picked one for the weekend? You gonna play 2 of them, or is that kind of just being a game time decision, or how do you thinking?
It's going to be a game time decision. I mean, we might figure it out on Thursday, but yeah, I was really impressed with all 3 of our goaltenders this past week, or a weekend ago, 2 weeks ago. And they've looked great in practice. So I'll be honest with you, you know, I can nitpick the video or I can look at details, but a lot of it's going to depend on how they compete this week and kind of how they're feeling mentally, physically. Every week is a different, you know, presents a different set of circumstances with goaltenders. And I was really, really happy with, in particular, how, you know, our freshman Maggie played, and give her a lot of credit for coming into a, you know, brand new environment and stepping up in a big spot. So that doesn't mean she's going to play or not play. I was just really excited to add a 3rd player to our goaltending group that I think will provide some great competition and also for us, allow us to feel really comfortable going into any weekend.
Any additional questions from the Zoom?
Joel, can you talk about the mood of your players right now? I imagine some mixture of emotions. They've got to be pretty excited and they're anxious to just get the season going. They've been preparing.
Yeah, I think the anticipation for an actual game that matters, that counts in the standings, is high. And yet at the same time, with a big roster, you know, people are still competing to try to go in and day out and present the best version of themselves to try to, you know, say, hey, I deserve to play and I want to play and represent St. Thomas. So it's a great practice environment. We've had a ton of fun. What I love most about this time of the year is, you know, there's relatively few injuries because we're not worn out, and there's a lot of excitement just to be on campus, and to be around the sport of hockey at this time is kind of fun. So our mood is great. It's fun to see the players every day at the rink, and I'm looking forward to stepping out on the ice for practice in you know, a few minutes, because it's the best part of the day. I steal that quote from our one of our coaches, Marty Surdich. He said, "This is the best part of the day," you know, and so I'm excited. I think we're in a great spot.
Yeah, I guess I got one more. The theme last week was all about winning, kind of building from what you did last year. As a coach, you put your players in the best position to succeed, but can you coach a team to win? Or is that something they have to learn on their own?
No, players win, coaches do what we can. We provide the framework that we think puts them in the best position to succeed. And if their success leads to a win, then it's a win. I'm not worried about the wins and losses. When I think of our approach every Monday, every Sunday night, when I'm sitting up thinking about the next week, I'm looking at what is the preparation required to put our players in the best position to succeed according to our baseline of talent and our culture and our group. And if we do that, then I think we've done the job that we've been hired to do. If we win, great. If we don't, I can still lay my head on the pillow at night and feel really confident that I fulfilled my role as a coach. Because if you only focus on coaching to win, you're gonna run out of jobs really quickly, because there's just way too many good teams out there, and there's way too many situations that you do everything you can, and it doesn't work at the end of the day. But if you focus on preparing your student athletes, not just for a 4-year career, but for a 40-year period of life, and you coach them up in a way that allows them to experience a great culture and some values in life, and also some athletic excellence and expectation, then I think you're in a spot where you can look back and say, all right, did we win? I don't know. Did we lose? I don't know. But did I make a difference in this young woman's life? Yes, I did. And to me, that's the most important part. Hopefully, long term, at the end of the day, you win. Because if you don't last very long at Division I. But at the same time, I've never doubted my approach. I've been that way since I was coaching middle school and high school, volunteer coaching, everything. I've always told people, don't get in this profession if you want to win. Get in this profession because you want to change lives, or be a part of that light bulb turning on in some young man or woman's life, where they look at you and say, now I understand what you were talking about. And so for me, that's my most important goal. My most passionate mission is to make a difference in their life.
Thanks, coach.
Any closing thoughts, coach?
I'm excited to go to Madison, get on a bus and travel for 4 whatever hours and get there, and then travel and get home at 2 or 3 in the morning, and it'll be fun.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Coach.